Record. All right, first thing, as I said on Tuesday, we will not be having a session the 15th. I know it's you, Drake. We will not be having a session the 15th. All right. We'll just pick back up on Thursday with our regularly scheduled events. Tonight, once I get this class converted over and upload it to YouTube, I'll just post an update just to let you guys know what's going on. But essentially, you guys are just going to be working on reading questions and draft number 2 of your paper. And remember, folks, draft number 2 is due 1 week from today. That will be the 17th. And you will also need to submit that self-assessment along with your draft number 2. So tonight, I'm going to talk a little bit about just paragraphing strategies and some editing or some revision strategies. But yeah, folks, draft number 2, make sure you can get to 4 pages, and that's just adding on to what you already have. It could be just unpacking some ideas that you have. So, we're all in the right place. We're all on the right track. All right. So yeah, here it is. Okay. Now, okay, just quickly. I'm about to look at some slides. Okay. These revision strategy slides. Okay. And this is in the week 5 module. All right. You can either look along with me, or you can go to week 5 and open this yourself. All right, I'm not going to go over this whole slideshow because I want to get to okay, yeah, I want to get to the paragraphing stuff tonight. Okay, what I need. So yes, I want to get to the paragraphing material tonight is what I was saying. All right. Okay. And yeah, that's what I need. All right, do a little surgery. Okay, I'm adding a different just a different set of slides. All right, now you're rolling. Okay, so now the newest set of slides, they're basically the same. It's just this one has a little bit more content, and this one is going to help us transition into our discussion about paragraphing. All right, and the main thing that you all need to keep in mind with this draft, of course, I do want you to I still want you to be focusing on content, of course. And really, that's part of the main push for this draft is, developing your content. But we're still, in the revision category. And again, just remember that there is some key differences between revision and editing. All right, a lot of times people use them interchangeably, but revision, it just deals with the big ideas, so to speak, right? Content. All right. And for us, that means like, am I at or approaching 4 pages? All right. And if I have like 5 or 6 pages, can I get that? Is there any way I can get that down a little bit? All right. So I think that can be like a drive for some of you, because I know there are a couple of you that went over 4 pages, which is cool. All right, just not 5. Don't go over 5. Okay. And then you're checking for organization. All right. Checking to see if your ideas are flowing in a way that's easy to follow for your reader. And just like I said on Tuesday, one of the best ways to accomplish that is to, especially when you're writing a narrative, tell your story chronologically, right? What happened first? What happened next? What happened after that? And hopefully you end up with today. or you end up with the most recent aspect of your narrative. But for a lot of you, that is today, because, maybe going to school, or, pursuing an education or continuing to pursue an education that represents, you showing your resiliency or your perseverance, resilience. Okay. Expression of ideas. Are you, expression of ideas and clarity kind of go together. And that just means, like, are you using the words that best express your ideas? Okay. Are you using the words that best express your ideas? Okay. Try to be as clear as possible. All right. There's no need. Um, I told you when we talked earlier about the writing process that, there are some differences between the writing we do every day and academic writing, but that doesn't mean that we have to use this, I don't know, we have to use, like, I guess, technical or language that I guess would be too formal sounding. That's the word I was looking for. Okay. So you don't have to be too formal with these essays, but at the same time, you don't want to be too conversational. So let me tell you what happened next. Okay. You'll never believe what happened. All right. You don't need things like that in your essay or in an essay of this nature. You don't want to try, you want to try not to address the reader directly. Okay. Guess what happened? Okay. You know what happened next. Phrases like that, you don't need. Oftentimes they can distract your reader. All right. So I get it. Many of us, it's the way we would tell a story orally, but we have to be mindful that when we write, certain phrases, even, when I talk sometimes, know what I'm saying, and things like that, I wouldn't say that in writing, right? Or I wouldn't say, guess what happened next, or man, you'll never believe what happened next. Okay. So writing, you don't need that stuff. Just tell them what happened next. Okay. And let them decide, whether they would never believe it or not. Okay. Then respond to the assignment. Okay. Everybody nailed this one though. Responding to the assignment just means you're doing what you're asked to do. All right. Now, okay. Most of this category, editing, um, we're going to be addressing as you go from draft number 2 to draft number 3. But if you want to start looking at it, or if I've already told you, to start looking at this stuff, because the thing about editing, sometimes, a typo here and there, or a run-on here and there, a fragment here and there, fixable, easy fix. Okay. But if there are so many that it's a distraction to your reader, or that it could potentially be a distraction to your reader, I put on your paper, just start practicing, recognizing fragments, run-ons. I know we just started that discussion, but try your best, to start recognizing that material. If you need additional assistance, and especially since you guys will have just an additional couple of days. Instead of it being due Tuesday, it's due Thursday. Use this opportunity to see a tutor. Okay, use this opportunity to see a tutor. Additional feedback can only help you. All right, additional feedback can only help you. Okay, grammar, spelling. Oh yeah, spelling, man. Go back over that stuff. All right, punctuation, capitalization, right? Word choice. And when I say word choice, I mean then and then, woman, women, there, and there, two, and two, all these words that we sometimes overlook. And really, when I see that in a paper, a lot of times I'm thinking, this student knows better. They just need to slow down a little bit. All right. Or, spend that, additional time going back over your material, once you finished it. Okay. So revision is where we are now, and editing is where we're going. Okay. But for right now, we're still developing our content. Okay. We're still developing, or we're still getting out what we want to say. All right. And then, as I said, Tuesday, think about that main idea you want to communicate to your reader. What do you want them to take from your essay? Okay. What do you want them to take? Yeah. What do you do when you revise, good people? Check for organization, most definitely. Okay. Check for organization. Check for organization. All right. Did I mention that you need to check for organization? Okay. Clear introduction. with the hook. Again, your thesis statement could just be, from after I lost my uncle, whatever, I learned that I have to tell the people I love them while they're here. Okay. So the thesis statement for this essay could just be, the experience and what you got from it, the lesson you learned from it. All right. So make sure you have an intro though. Make sure you have structured body paragraphs that are logically connected to one another. What? Body paragraphs that are logically connected to one another. Again, body paragraphs are going in sequence, chronological sequence. Okay. Then give your reader a conclusion, that provides closure. Don't leave them wanting more. Especially like I know I only asked for 2 pages in their first rough draft, but now that we're going to the full 4, your reader shouldn't be wanting more. Once they finish reading your essay, really they should feel like they've completed a journey with you. Okay, you've taken them from beginning to end, from A to Z, right? From 0 to 9, just completion. Okay. Yeah. Here we go. This is where we are now, and especially if you're going from 2 or 3 pages to 4 pages. Are there enough details, examples? Okay. Evidence, not yet. Okay, that would be for a comment essay to convince your reader of the truth of your claims. Okay, meaning, did you stay consistent throughout your essay with this idea, or with this experience, that you began discussing in your intro? Okay, remain consistent, stay on topic, is really what I'm saying. Okay, clarity of ideas, and then that's just an explanation. All right, now, this applies specifically to you all's essays. Narration. Okay, meaning you're telling a story. You're telling a story talking about yourself. Okay, talking about this thing that you went through and how this thing changed you. Okay, or what you gathered from what you learned from this thing that you went through. Okay. Does your narrative make a clear point? Because we aren't just telling a story for the sake of telling a story. Okay. And mind you, you only have 4 to 5 pages. So you're going to have to like gauge what parts of your narrative are worth are worth sharing. Okay. You may not be able to tell the whole story, or you may have to leave some details out. All right. So you're going to think like, start with, the necessary details. Okay. But you don't want a narrative that's kind of like rambly, where, it goes all over the place. All right. Or it's just, detail after detail after detail. And your reader may be thinking like, where is this going? Okay, where is this going? So, and it really goes back to your introduction and that statement, that statement that you end with, after I experienced this, and that, here's what I learned. All right. Does your essay effectively recreate your experience for your readers? If you were in a hard class, what was hard about it? If you didn't do well your 11th grade year or your junior year, what happened? Okay. If you have like these vivid memories of, going to see your grandma sitting in her lap, she's telling you stories, put some of that in your essay. What I'm saying is you're using your words to paint pictures for your audience. Okay. Try to put them in your shoes as best you can. All right. You can't like break out your phone and show them a video, right? So you got to use your words. Okay. Use your words to recreate your experiences. Okay. Use sensory words. Sensory words that are words that evoke the senses. Right? Like if you were to say it's a hot day, you can go further, say it was a hot and sticky day. Okay. And things of that nature. So now with that, you don't want to go overboard with that, because too much detail can be a distraction as well. But really, writing in a lot of ways, it's just about striking that balance, explaining something in vivid detail when it's necessary, or explaining something in sparse detail, because it's not really that important to your narrative. So you just want to keep things moving. Okay. Oh yeah. Is there distracting material that needs to be cut? These are all questions that you're asking yourself as you're revising. And honestly, honestly answer that one. Is there distracting material that needs to be cut? On some of the rough drafts, I even put, perhaps you can do without this, or, do you really need this detail? Okay. Especially if it throws off the unity of a paragraph. All right. And we'll talk about paragraph unity in a little bit. Okay. Ooh, yeah. Have I consistently written with my audience in mind? What does that mean? Okay. Am I using words that my audience is going to understand? And just because you understand something, don't take for granted that your reader understands it. And that goes for certain concepts that only people in a certain field would know. That goes for certain terminology that only people in a certain field would know. That goes for slang, that you use when you're talking in your comfort zone. All right. That I also in your papers, that's also what I meant by, don't be too conversational. It's fine. I actually encourage you to be yourself when you're writing. Okay. You're just showing another layer of yourself. Okay. So, if it's dialogue, some slangy type things are okay, but you got to keep in mind that your reader may not know what you're talking about. Okay. Your reader may not know what you're talking about. And excuse me, if they don't know what they're talking about, there's a good chance they can disengage, from whatever you're writing. So try to clean that up. Okay. As best you can. All right, as best you can. All right. Are my paragraphs connected to my purpose? Okay. Meaning you're discussing this experience and the lesson that you learned. Every paragraph in your essay should serve that purpose. Okay. Adequate support and detail. We discussed that. Do I have enough detail? And then this last question, right? I know you got to turn it in. So you may say, yeah, I wish this was different in my essay, but you're gonna have there's gonna be a draft number 3. So but ask yourself, when you submit it, am I content with this essay as it is right now? Your name's going on it, it's going to your portfolio. Okay. So you get feedback from me. If you see a tutor, you get feedback from them. But when it's all said and done, it's your baby, it's your project. Okay. So and for me, of all these questions, that one's one of the most important. Am I content with my essay? Right. Just like the same thing with the self-assessment. We're just about taking ownership, of our work in this class. We're not doing stuff, just for a grade. Okay. All right. Now, on some of your papers, I know I just skipped a slide. On some of your papers, I put practice paragraph coherence, or even if I didn't use the word coherence, I said practice work on the flow of your paragraphs, practice using transitions, which is really a coherence issue. And coherence, like it just means the flow of a paragraph and the connection between your ideas. Okay. A lot of writing is, readability. Okay. You could be communicating the most vital information to your audience. Everything is fact checked. Okay. But if it, if it's not written in a way that's readable, or that's engaging to your reader, they may tune out, regardless of, whatever information you're presenting. Okay. So, keep flow in mind, or keep coherence in mind as you work on draft number 2. All right. And here's an example of a paragraph that lacks coherence. After my sophomore year of college, I had to drop out for a second time. I did not have the money to pay off my balance. My school would not let me back in until I paid $3,600. I went home. I got a job. I came back to school with a new appreciation for my education. Okay. Um, this one lacks coherence. One, because of just the number of consecutive short and choppy sentences. Okay. It also lacks coherence because it's missing. It has certain gaps in information, and I think on some papers I even put, work on filling in informational gaps for your readers, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay. Also lacks coherence because there's no. It's hard to discern the connection between the ideas. Like if you look, I went home, I got a job, I came back to school with a new appreciation for my education. That we can make that flow a little bit better, or we can strengthen the connection, between those sentences. So now we revised it for coherence, and here's what we came up with. After my sophomore year of college, I had to drop out for a second time because I did not have the money to pay off my $3,600 balance. Okay, first transition, because. As a result, right? Second transition. As a result, it's a cause and effect transition, right? Couldn't pay off my balance is the cause. The result or the effect is I had to return home for a semester. All right. And then while I was at home, some transitional phrases can mark the passage of time, or can show that you're remaining at a location or even switching locations. All right. But again, it just helps your paragraphs flow a little bit better. While I was at home, I got a job at Little Caesars during the week, and on the weekends I worked as a cart attendant at Rouge Park Golf Course. Okay, true story. All right. But again, this is what I mean by filling in those informational gaps. Okay, you got a job where, right? Give your reader some insight. Let them know what's happening. And then also, this is what I mean by painting pictures with your words. Like if you say, I got a job, all right, that's one thing. But if you say, I got a job at Little Caesars, now your reader can visualize that. Okay? They can visualize that, man. My dirty brown pants and my pizza, my sauce stained shirt. Okay. After 3 months of working and saving, again, a transition shows the passage of time. Whereas before, we just said, I got a job, I came back to school, right? So it seems like that was kind of instant when, things don't happen like that, like instantly, especially, when you have to take a semester or two off. All right. So after 3 months of working and saving, I had earned enough money to pay off my balance and begin my junior year. This time around, I appreciated my education much more because I was paying with my own money. Okay. Yeah. That makes you appreciate it a lot more. Made me appreciate it more. Okay. So you achieve coherence with transitions, with filling in these informational gaps. Okay. Practice, right? Practice. That's, with everything we're learning, right? It just takes practice. Practice, right? Writing comes from repetition. All right. And reading, of course. Okay. And here's a list of, transitions. All right. Um, when you're using a transition though, just make sure you're using the transition that indicates the relationship that you want to show between your ideas. Like if it's a relationship of addition, you want to say like in addition, or besides, like besides algebra, I am also taking statistics. All right. Or I'm taking statistics in addition to psychology. All right. And yeah, just make sure you're using the right the transition that shows the relationship you want to show. And also, when you're using transitions, be diverse. Okay, don't get one you like and just fall in love with that one, and just keep using it. Be diverse, man. Switch it up. Okay, switch it up. Okay. Here's just some different strategies to achieve coherence. Transitions, we talked about it. Okay. Sometimes you can achieve coherence by repeating keywords or phrases or using synonyms. All right. Different words that mean the same thing. Ronald has been out of class for 2 weeks with the flu. This illness has caused him to miss work, has also caused him to miss work. So instead of saying this has caused him, say this illness has caused him, or repeat, use a synonym, for what you just said in the previous sentence. That'll, be like some connective tissue, in your paragraph that'll help it, that'll help strengthen the connection between your ideas. Okay, swap out, alternate nouns and pronouns. My mother has always been my role model. She is an example of strength and determination. Okay. And then parallel structure, it just means that you're using the same form of word for the paragraph. Like this one, when I was a kid, I used to love swimming, playing, and to ride my bike. Okay, we're not using parallel structure there. But if we were, we would say, when I was a kid, I used to love swimming, playing, and riding my bike. Okay. Now, details, right? And this is kind of transitioning to our discussion of paragraphing, because really the main thing I want you all to start doing is, I know, many of us, whether it's elementary, middle school, high school, or wherever, we learned that a paragraph should be 5 sentences, 7 sentences, 3 to 5, 2 to, I don't know, whatever, 4 to 5, 4 to 6. All right. All that's right, and all that's wrong. All right. And I say that because there's no really no predetermined number of sentences that a paragraph should have. Can a paragraph be too long? Yes. Can a paragraph be too short? Absolutely. But instead of thinking of paragraphs in terms of the number of sentences they have, start thinking of paragraphs in terms of their characteristics. And there are 3 main characteristics of a good body paragraph. Unity. What does that mean? Paragraph unity means that every sentence in that paragraph speaks to one idea. Every sentence speaks to one idea. Okay. You don't have distracting sentences in a paragraph. All right. So unity just means everything is built around one idea. In more traditional essays, or essays that are not narratives, that idea will be in the topic sentence. But for narratives, sometimes sometimes the topic sentence is implied, or sometimes you're just continuing with, whatever story you're telling. But whatever you're doing, stick to that topic for that paragraph. When you're changing ideas, when you're changing topics, for a narrative, when you're changing location, when you're entering a new phase in your life, start a new paragraph. Or sometimes you just want to give your reader a moment to pause. That's when you start a new paragraph as well. Okay. But typically, new idea, new paragraph, or when you want to give your reader a moment to pause. Okay. Try to avoid like giant size page length paragraphs for this essay. Okay. Coherence, we talked about. Flow, strength of connection between ideas. Use those transitional phrases. Okay. Fill in those informational gaps. Okay. Unity, coherence, and now we're at development. Development answers this question. What does my reader need to know? What does my reader need to know? Okay. And in the narrative, it's about those details. It's about those details that's going to paint pictures in your readers' minds. It's about using concrete examples, concrete words, like Little Caesars, right? Instead of saying I got a job, or even, I got a job at a pizza place. Okay. Give your reader something to visualize. Okay. My first year of college did not go too well. It didn't in real life. Okay. I had a lot going on, and that affected my grades. Right off the top, your reader's thinking, what did you mean? What do you mean by you had a lot going on? Had a lot going on at home? You took on too much responsibility? You were ill, okay? You had a hard time adjusting, right? So what does that mean? I had a lot going on and that affected my grades. How? Okay. Did it make you a B student instead of an A student? Did it make you a C student, a D student? Did you fail out completely like me? Okay. I was reprimanded and I soon realized that I needed to get my act together. What does it mean you were reprimanded? Who reprimanded you? Okay. What consequences, did you have to face? What does getting your act together mean? Okay. And a lot of times this is what happens when we write things, especially in first drafts. My reader knows what I mean by I had a lot going on. They know what I mean. Okay. They know what I mean by my grades were affected. Okay. But again, sometimes we have to get out of our own head and put ourselves in our reader's shoes. Okay. Or when you're revising, this is why it's beneficial for you when you're revising a paper, try to separate yourself from it, meaning read it as if you are not the author. Okay. Read it as if you're not the author. And if you're unable to separate, have someone else read it. Because they're going to say, well, what did you mean here? Okay. Upload it to NetTutor. Okay. I'll show you how to do that in the last few minutes of this session. Okay. Now, my first semester at Michigan State did not go too well. Okay. Right off the top, we're using a proper noun. Okay. Michigan State. Now your reader's getting something to visualize. Okay. I was working full time and going to school, or working full time, going to school full time, and I had a pretty active social life. Oh, that's what you meant by you had a lot going on. Trying to balance my classes, my job, and keeping up with my friends resulted in me earning a 1.5 GPA at the end of the semester. Oh, that's what you meant by your grades were affected. Consequently, transition. Consequently, I was placed on academic probation, which meant I would have to increase my GPA in order to stay at state. That's what you mean when you say you got reprimanded. This reprimand will be my wake-up call that I needed to reorganize my priorities. Oh, that's what you meant by getting your act together, right? So a developed paragraph is one that uses concrete language, concrete images, concrete words, giving your reader something to see, okay, something to visualize, not leaving them with questions. What did you mean right there? Okay, what did you mean right there? All right. So say what you mean. Say what you mean. Go into detail. Go into detail, man. Okay. In college, you aren't going to have very many opportunities to write about yourself in your own life. Okay. Like my 1510 class, we start off with a short narrative, but after that, it's the last time for the semester. Okay. And then in the 1520, we don't do any of that type of writing at all. So what I'm saying is, take advantage of this chance to tell your story. Okay. Don't leave any details on the table, any necessary details on the table. Structure. We'll come back to that. But you can ask yourself, right? The second bullet point, what sentences seem awkward, confusing, or trite? Trite just means like overused. All right, but awkward. Read your work back to yourself out loud and see how it sounds. Okay. And to be honest, that's one of the best ways to catch awkwardly constructed sentences. And then this next one, right? Where's my writing wordy or vague? Wordy, right? Can I say less here? Right? Do I really need all this? I think we talked about it Tuesday. Do I really need to say I was born in the month of March when I can just say I was born in March? Okay, in the city of Detroit. Okay, we can just say in Detroit. All right. I was 8 years of age. Let me just say I was 8. Okay. I think your reader knows. And then vague is just words that are too general. Okay. Tell them where you went to school. Okay, don't just say I was in school. Okay. So some of that stuff we'll come back to when we start when we go from draft number 2 to 3. All right. I think that's it for this slideshow. Yeah. Okay, that's all I wanted to show you for that. Okay, now, all right, I just want to reinforce um, some of this material about paragraphing. Is it okay to Nope. Dre, never. It's never okay to go off topic in a paragraph, because when you do, your reader is thinking about that thing you just mentioned instead of the big idea of the paragraph. So if you want to, mention something different, do it in a new paragraph. That's about that thing, that you're mentioning. But always stay focused on one idea in a paragraph. Okay, one idea per paragraph. Very good, very good. Okay. Oh yeah. All right. There we go. Okay. Now I just want to quickly look at this paragraphing strategies slideshow. Okay. If you get bored one day, since you guys don't have class Tuesday, this is me, going over the whole slideshow of this video. So if you get bored, get some popcorn out, get comfortable. About 45 minutes of paragraphing strategies, 30 minutes. I don't think it's that long. Unity, coherence, develop. Okay. Forget everything that you learned about 5 sentences, 6 sentences, whatever. Okay, if somebody asks you how long a paragraph should be, tell them like, man, paragraphs don't have any length, a specific length. Tell them they should be unified, coherent, and developed. Okay. This material is also reinforced in our textbook. All right. Any textbook is going to tell you the same thing, or any composition based textbook is going to tell you the same thing about paragraphs: unity, coherence, and development. Okay. We already said this: unified, coherent, adequately developed. Okay. All right. Unity, unified paragraph develops one key idea. That's it. That's it. Okay. Get rid of details or tangents. All right. That could distract your reader. Okay. And this, in a narrative, like I was saying before, you may not have topic sentences. You just have a main idea of the paragraph. That's fine. Okay. Relevant supporting details. Keyword here is relevant. This is really what's going to keep you unified. Okay. That's what's going to keep you unified. Relevant supporting details. Okay. Let's look at what I mean. All right. When using a calendar to budget time, it is important to think about how long certain activities will take. That's what this paragraph is going to be about. Making a calendar and knowing how long things take. That's it. So your main idea, right? Think about that as like a fence that goes around your paragraph. Whatever the paragraph is about. Even if it's about like, sixth grade track practice. Okay. Or about how you felt bad because you didn't make the basketball team the first time you tried out. Okay. You didn't make the chess team or whatever, debate team, whatever you like. Okay. Focus on that. Go into detail. Maybe you need 2 paragraphs to discuss that. That's fine. Okay. You can have several paragraphs on the same idea if you want to show that idea emphasis, as long as you're saying, as long as the 2 or 3 paragraphs aren't redundant, meaning like you aren't saying the same thing in those paragraphs. Okay. So how you start should be how you finish in a body paragraph. A common mistake is to underestimate the time needed to do something, even something simple. Okay, we're moving in the right direction. For example, when planning the time needed to get cash from the ATM, remember that there may be a line of people, right? Sometimes you want to go to the ATM thinking it'll take 2 minutes, but it really takes 10 minutes. All right. Last week when I was in line, or last week in line, I met a woman I went to high school with, so we chatted. It turns out she had 2 children just the same age as mine. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Now, sentences 4 and 5, right? Interesting. You know, that's an interesting anecdote. But if we check our work like we do in math, the way we do that in English is we check our work, we check every sentence against the main idea. If we check our work, you know, those 2 sentences seem a little bit out of place. And I think I started putting on some essays where I may have highlighted a sentence or put a comment next to a sentence and said, you know, this seems out of place here. Okay. And it just means for you to take a second look at it because it's disrupting the unity of your paragraph. Okay. So sentences 4 and 5 are a bit of a distraction and they go off topic, you know, from our main idea, which is about budgeting time and thinking about how long certain activities take. And then you see how number 6 kind of gets back on track. And this is what I was saying to you, Dre. Like if you have, you know, sentences like 4 and 5, and then you go back, you know, into the regular flow of your paragraph, your reader's kind of distracted now. Okay, they aren't as focused, you know, as they were in the beginning. When estimating time for a more complex activity, such as reading a chapter in a textbook, block out more time than the activity requires. Doing so will provide additional free time if the task does not take as long as projected. One should also allow for interruptions because it is better to allow too much time than too little. It is, man, when you're budgeting your time. Always, you know, make room for incidentals. Thank you, man. Dre, you get an A for a semester too, man. How many automatic A's I got? Saba and Dre? Okay, very good. So you say good stuff about the teacher, man? No, just joking. Or am I? No. All right. Here's another example. Football has always been important to me. And this is more of a narration style, like the essays you all are doing. Okay, football has always been important to me. When I was a kid, it kept me out of trouble. While other kids were out getting into mischief, I was at practice. Football also helped me keep my grades up because my parents wouldn't let me play if I didn't have at least a B average. And when I got to high school, I had to keep a certain GPA to be eligible. All good, man. Everything's about football and how it helped this person. On the field, I learned sportsmanship, discipline, and how to be a team player. This person should have a coordinated conjunction there. All right. Oh, wait a minute now. I also played basketball growing up too, which was fun. Uh-oh. Now, this writer's probably thinking, well, you know, that's a sport too. That's a sport too. But you know, if we have the mindset of finishing how we started, you know, we got to keep it on football. Maybe basketball's in another paragraph, but you know, we're remaining consistent or we're remaining unified. We're keeping our paragraph unified. Okay. The most now we're back on track though. The most important lesson I learned from football is bouncing back from losses. In life, we don't win every time, but what we do when we lose makes all the difference. Okay. 2 coordinated conjunctions. So if I was conferencing with this student, I'd be like, man, conjunction, junction. What's your function? There we go. All right. Now, coherence, right? We talked about that. Flow. Okay. College can be very difficult for first-year students. Some struggle to adjust. The classes are harder and longer. Choosing a major is confusing. Students have to pay for their own books. Students have to pay for room and board. It can be very expensive. All of this should be taken into consideration before going to school. Okay. Again, consecutive short and choppy sentences. The connection between the ideas isn't that strong. Okay. We can add some information to this as well because there are these informational gaps. All right. College can be difficult for first-year students, and many of them struggle to adjust to a new environment and new responsibilities. Okay. All right. Now, in the first draft of this, we said it can be difficult to adjust. But in this draft, we added a little bit of information and filled in this blank. We told them what's it difficult to adjust to. In college, classes are harder and longer. Additionally, choosing a major can get confusing. Why? Due to all the interesting programs schools offer. Furthermore, transition, right? The cost of attending school can be overwhelming. Aside from paying for each class they take, here's a transitional phrase, right? Students have to pay for their own books. That costs way too much, along with room and board. The entire process. So instead of saying this can be very expensive, what is this? Right. And I think I may have even put that on some of your papers, like, what is this, or what is it? And I'm trying to get you to be more specific so the paragraph, just flows a little bit smoother. Students should consider all of the previously mentioned factors before going to college. Students should consider the workload, cost, and rigors of going to college, before applying, whatever. But instead of saying consider all of this, identify what this is. Okay, it just helps things flow smoother. All right. So coherence, just think flow. Flow, use those transitions, use parallel structure, right? Fill in those information gaps. Okay. Stuff on this slide. Okay. Do all this stuff. Okay. This is basically the same slide from the other show we just witnessed. All right. Here's more transition. It's the same thing too. I never copy paste things though. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna skippity skip. Okay. Introduction and conclusion. Introductions and conclusions can break the rules a little bit. You should still have coherence, but as far as even unity, okay. But as far as development, you aren't going to reveal too much in your intro, and really your conclusion, you're just going to be wrapping up. Some of you really had great openings, like starting with the quote. That's a good way to open an essay. One, it gets you writing. Okay. Two, now you can say something after that quote. You could say a couple lines about the quote. Next thing you know, half your introduction's done, or more than half your introduction's done. All right. So quotes are a great way to begin. You can just start with, your narrative if you want, right? It all started my junior year of high school, my freshman year of high school, or whatever. Maybe you start with an interesting statement, okay? Something that's going to get your reader thinking. Something that's gonna something that your reader's gonna have some thoughts about. Either way, right? Like a recent poll stated that 75% of parents said they wouldn't have children if they could do it all over again. Okay, your reader's gonna have an opinion about that. Okay, whether they agree, disagree, or say no, that can't be true. Okay, whatever it is, they're gonna want to keep reading. Okay, so maybe you have an interesting statement you want to begin with. You can pose a question. Okay, don't start your essay with "Have you ever?" Okay, and then avoid cliched. Cliched openings are openings that have been done, a million, trillion, billion times. Okay, you start off with the cliche, you've already lost your reader. Then finally, get out of there. Okay, for you and for a narrative, I think the last three bullet points are going to be good for us. Summarizing key ideas, that'll work great for our common essay. But I think these last three bullets, posing a question, and you're not posing a question that they would have expected you to answer in your essay, but you can say, isn't it better, after, isn't managing one's time, isn't, managing one's time better than, not having a schedule, something like that, some rhetorical question. If we don't address climate change now, the results will be dire. And is that something we really want? Okay. Questions like that is what I mean. All right. If you started with a quote, you can end with the quote. That's cool. You can really revisit the quote, after your essay. That's fine. or you can offer some hope, right? Like I overcame this illness, you know, this proof that it's possible. Okay. Or, um, you know, a person should never let another person steal their happiness. Something like that. Okay. Something like that. But whatever you do, just, just think about it like this. Your conclusion is going to be the last thing your reader reads. It may be the last thing they remember, right? So what are you going to leave them with? Don't just say, goodbye. Thanks for reading. If you want to know what happens next, check out my next essay. Okay. No choose your own adventure books, or you have to wait for the sequel, all that. Okay. None of that. Closure. They shouldn't want more. Okay. They shouldn't want more. All right. Now, okay. No meeting Tuesday. Okay. No meeting Tuesday. You do have reading questions due Tuesday though. Cool. Okay. Couldn't let you off the hook that easily. All right. We'll get a book discussion in next week too. All right, because there's a lot has happened, since the last time we discussed our book. That's what we'll do Thursday, because you guys will just be submitting your draft. So we'll get our book discussion going. All right. The first slides we went over are right here, and paragraphing strategies. I'm actually gonna just re-upload them like right now. Okay. And I will put a note, on D2L, just, outlining, just assignments for next week, but that's all I got for tonight, folks. Oh, NetTutor. I did say I was going to show you guys that. NetTutor and the ASC. Give me 1 second to get this uploaded. Actually, I should be able to do that now. All right. Okay. The easiest way to get to NetTutor is to log into D2L, but don't go to our class just yet. This is the D2L homepage. Like once you log in, you go here, and then just go to Open NetTutor. You'll probably have to sign in, and you sign in the same way you sign into your student account. And then when you sign in, you'll see this. Okay, I'm already signed in, and then you just go down to writing in Paper Center, and you can upload papers. You can meet with the tutor, but try to upload a completed draft of your paper. All right. So that's one way. Also, with NetTutor, if you are uploading a paper, it could take up to 48 hours for them to turn it around. I don't know what their policy is on weekends. You can look that up. But all right, what I'm saying is don't wait till the last minute. Like don't wait till Wednesday night, to upload a paper. Okay. And then if you don't want to use NetTutor, maybe you want to schedule some time with one of our tutors. That's cool. Okay. Let's see if I can go to the ASC from here. Oh, I sure can. Okay. This is the Academic Support Center. And if you want to see a tutor, okay, you can take it upon yourself to schedule some time. All right. And just choose the schedule, for, I guess, your home campus. Like I know the or unless they have new ones, I know the Southfield tutors and some of the Royal Oak tutors. All right, let me see break the schedule. See if I know any of these folks. Michelle. Miss Scrutchins is who I usually use in my other classes. Oh, and if you need some tutoring, my personal recommendation is Mr. McClin. All right, and he's usually available in the evenings. But Mr. Mack, he's usually my in-house tutor. I've been using him for maybe 5 years now. and he's a real down to earth person, and he gets results, and he's available evenings and Saturdays. All right, evenings and Saturdays. So if you can contact Mr. Mack, or if you can contact the ASC and say you want to schedule some time, they'll show you what to do. Okay, Mrs. S is cool too. Michelle, I don't really, I know her, but I don't. My students usually see Mr. McClin or Mrs. Crutchins. Okay, and they know my assignments, Mr. Mack and Mrs. Crutchins. Okay, so you can just schedule that. All right, it's the same thing. Like I know Mr. McClin, he teaches, he's active military duty sometime. So if you need some time with Mr. McClin, definitely don't wait to the last minute. But at the same time, he's very accommodating and very helpful. Yep. Here's our self-assessment. If you missed Tuesday's session, here's the feedback key so you can interpret what's on your paper. Here's some short videos just reinforcing run-ons, comma splices, and there's a fragment one in the week 3 module. Let's see if I told the truth about that. Yes, okay, in the week 3 module. All right. So yeah, folks, I'll get this class uploaded. Have a great weekend, good people. Okay.